faint-hearted. From the shadows, assassins strike without warning.
They're fast and they're deadly.
You can be impaled, clubbed, or torn limb from limb.
It's no exaggeration to say that this is the insect equivalent of shark jaws.
Death can be instant or drawn out. But it's coming. The bug world is full of spies with a license to kill. In this deadly game of high-stakes espionage, any branch or leaf might be bugged. When a hooded mantis and a Brazilian wandering spider go for the jugular, it's all cloak and dagger. In the jungles of Central America, some of the deadliest predators are masters of disguise.
From above or behind, the hooded mantis looks just like a leaf. But if you're prey and it's rearing above you about ready to strike, it looks more like a king cobra, and its bite is just as deadly.
Not only is it invisible, the hooded mantis makes other bugs disappear. Like all good spies, the hooded mantis excels at surveillance. Two huge compound eyes give the mantis stereoscopic vision and excellent view to a kill. It also deploys two extra-long antennae, each lined with tens of thousands of highly sensitive chemoreceptors. Free of debris, they pick up the faintest enemy transmission.
The antennae are constantly detecting chemical and physical information, especially when the mantis is sizing up an opponent or prey. This is particularly important when it reaches that stage where the mantis can't risk taking their eyes off the opponent in case they suddenly launch an attack of their own.
And its trademark move is always shaken, not stirred.
The mantis uses strange rocking and shuddering as part of its behavioral camouflage repertoire. This helps disguise it as a flickering leaf and makes it hard to focus on. It'll use this tactic even while doing tiny little steps towards its victim.
But the real threat are the legs themselves. Long raptorial limbs are lined with dagger-like spikes, sharp enough to puncture human skin.
The entire prey capture strategy of mantids revolves around remaining invisible to their targets, striking out of nowhere, pinning their prey with their spiked arms, and then delivering a series of killer bites.
A Katydid is an armored fighter who also kills for a living. But the hooded mantis has no trouble taking it down.
That is a textbook Raptorial arm lock. The Katydid has absolutely no way of fighting back.
Super sharp mandibles, like the teeth of a great white, gouge the victim's head. And when the Katydid's dangerous rear legs keep kicking, they are removed with clinical precision.
This is a harsh lesson in monster bug indignity. If you struggle against a mantis, you're probably gonna end up in pieces before you die.
But the hooded mantis is being tailed by an equally ruthless enemy agent. This skulking assassin is one of the world's most proficient killers.
Wandering spiders are generalist predators, which means that they'll basically catch anything that they're capable of taking down. These are creepy spiders.
The Brazilian wandering spider takes no prisoners.
These guys have a really nasty venom. It actually kills a number of humans every year.
Her powerful body and long legs are covered in dense hair. Each one is a sensor, picking up tiny vibrations, even changes in airflow, which she uses to lethal effect. A Katydid is in the wrong place at the wrong time. Its only hope is to sneak by unnoticed.
This Katydid is trying to walk by the spider, pretend like it's blowing in the wind or that it's debris, that it isn't a living animal. But the spider is completely aware of exactly what it is and is going to go after it.
Eventually, the spider makes its move. Not with blinding speed, but like a slowly grasping hand. Venom strong enough to kill a child brings instant death.
The Brazilian wandering spider is considered to have the most potent venom of any spiders in the world. The venom contains a combination of neurotoxins that affect the way the nervous system works, and it causes a great deal of tissue damage.
Now, digestive enzymes turn the Katydid into green gumbo. But what happens when the Brazilian wandering spider meets its Cold War counterpart, the Hooded Mantis?
Either one of these animals has the strength and the weapons to win this.
These two ruthless agents share one creed: live and let die. In a seemingly peaceful Central American rainforest, a camouflaged hooded mantis is on an undercover assignment. A Brazilian wandering spider is also on a mission to kill. The mantis' spiked limbs and super sharp mandibles are more than a match for the spider's deadly fangs and super powerful venom. The two stone-cold assassins come face to face. So close, they are actually touching.
So now the wandering spider and the hooded mantis are in contact with each other, but it really is who moves the fastest and where they attack.
The spider backs off, wary. In a battle like this, there is no margin for error. The hooded mantis tries its favorite bluff.
The praying mantis is hoping that its shuddering motion will let it get close to the spider without it recognizing that it has an opponent.
But the spider isn't fooled. Like a Hollywood fight scene, the enemy agents are locked together in a precarious battle. The mantis is in the perfect position. Its mandibles could rip open the spider's belly. But it's too late. Like poison-tipped umbrellas, the spider's fangs puncture the mantis' thorax. Deadly neurotoxins flood the mantis' body. Within seconds, vital organs begin shutting down. The prospect of a massive feast has the spider's digestive juices flowing. Massive daggers slash the body to pieces. And it's sucked up like a mantis martini.
So the king cobra of the mantids goes down. But you can't say he didn't score points for bravery.
All that will be left is the mantid's hood, discarded like a dead spy's trench coat. When a colony of army ants goes to war against a rainforest crab, it's massed might versus heavy armor. If you're a rainforest bug, few sights are more terrifying than a colony of army ants on the march.
There may be as many as 250,000 ants swarming through the forest. Animals are rushing to get away from them. They're killing anything that they can get. These army ants have a really potent sting.
Voracious, all-consuming, the army ants form a fast-flowing tide of death. There is no escaping the wholesale slaughter.
These army ant swarms, when they go out, are wiping out the invertebrates and maybe even small vertebrates in an area that is the size as big as 10 bowling lanes within a day. It's amazing.
Every army ant is equipped for war with weapons front and rear. A needle-sharp sting stabs repeatedly, injecting paralyzing toxins. Sharp serrated mandibles cut and crush. Individually, they are formidable fighters. Working together, they're more than a match for much larger prey. A seething mass swarms over the victim, delivering death by 1,000 cuts. With each battle won, fresh meat is ferried back to the nest.
They've got this huge colony and a queen who may be laying 50,000 eggs a day. Ants are going out in foraging swarms, collecting live prey, which they tear apart and then carry back to feed to these carnivorous larvae.
If the army ants are ferocious foot soldiers, then this creature must be straight from the tank division.
This is a Costa Rican land crab. And although he has to return to the sea to reproduce, he and his relatives can be found as far as 10 miles from the coast and even 1,500 feet above sea level. Now that's what I call a well-traveled species.
Well-traveled and well-protected. The crab's body and spiked legs are covered by a suit of armor made from chitin fibers, as flexible as human-made plastic, but reinforced with rock-hard mineral crystals.
This is a tough little creature. He's got 8 walking legs with sharp, hardened tips, a heavily armored body that's really difficult to penetrate, and a set of pinchers that can really inflict some damage on a pesky predator.
Massive, bulging pincers are a surefire deterrent to would-be predators.
The claws are used for digging, as well as manipulating food and tearing it apart. The mouth parts are very adept at cutting, but they're not used as a weapon. That's left to the pinchers and the spiky feet.
When the rainforest crab ventures into enemy territory, hardened killers beat a hasty retreat, not willing to risk a run-in with those crushing claws. This foray in the leaf litter will put it in the path of an oncoming storm. The army ant swarm. But But what happens when the tank on legs clashes with a rampaging infantry regiment? A hungry rainforest crab prowls for food in the leaf litter. Not far away, a ravenous tide of army ants is on the warpath. The army ants attack with savage mandibles and stings full of paralyzing toxins. The rainforest crab relies on heavy-duty armor and massive claws. Who will emerge victorious?
Army ants really don't care how big the prey is. They're basically willing to take anything that they can bring down. And this is because they have an awful lot of hungry mouths to feed back at the colony.
When the ants make contact, the crab's first instinct is to cut and run.
Seeing a swarm of army ants approach must be a terrifying sight. He'd be feeling like he's surrounded by a horde of serial killers armed with machetes and dart guns.
The crab's getaway isn't quick enough. More warriors enter the combat, biting the crab's exposed eyes, looking for a way past the armor to the sweet flesh beneath.
Once these army ants have breached the shell, they're able to open this crab up and get the meat out.
Overturned and overrun, the crab claws at its attackers. But against such small enemies, those huge pincers are clumsy and ineffective. The army ants concentrate on joints in the crab's shell. The tiny gaps between armor plates are wide enough for probing stings and cutting mandibles.
This isn't just a bunch of itches that can be scratched. It's bite after bite, sting after sting, just hammering away and draining the crab's life force.
Toxins flood the crab's body, shutting it down. As the crab takes its last breaths, the ants start to dismantle their fallen foe.
When you're attacked by an army as fierce as this, there's no such thing as impenetrable armor. They just keep attacking until there's nothing left to do but just give up and die.
In the callous bug world, it's always an eye for an eye. To the victor go the spoils, and the vanquished becomes a shell of its former self. In the treacherous world of bugs, there are many ways to meet your doom. When a velvet worm tangles with a harvestman, it's all-out chemical warfare. On the moist forest floor, an ancient hunter stalks its prey, as it's done for 500 million years. The velvet worm is an all-terrain terror, flowing across uneven ground on hydraulic legs. Each one is tipped with a retractable claw for better grip. Tiny bumps on the body, called papillae, repel water, keeping the worm dry as it navigates its wet, humid world.
Each of the wart-like bumps on its body has a bristle at the tip that acts as a mechanoreceptive sensor. What this means is that the velvet worm is constantly monitoring its environment with its skin.
It looks harmless enough, but the only soft thing about the velvet worm is its name.
They're voracious predators. Velvet worms can grow up to 4 inches, and they can capture animals right up to their own size. This puts a very large amount of different creatures on their menu list.
With a top speed of less than 2 inches per second, it's not able to chase down a meal. But who needs speed when you possess one of the bug world's strangest and most effective long-range weapons? On either side of its head, modified legs called oral tubes fire twin jets of viscous slime. Caught in the sticky blast, the target is immobilized by biological glue.
This slime straitjacket is about 90% water. But as the water evaporates, proteins in the slime start to tangle and form tight chemical bonds. This becomes stringier, stickier, and harder by the second. This is such a cunning natural design.
The velvet worm isn't the only wily fighter in the forest. The harvestman also has a few tricks up its very long sleeves.
You'd think to look at a harvestman that it's a spider, but these guys aren't spiders at all. They don't have venom, they don't have a sting, they don't produce silk. Harvestmen are pretty much characterized by legs.
Those long limbs give it critical clearance in a close fight. And its spiky exoskeleton makes it a tough foe to tackle. And when it comes to victims, the harvestman isn't fussy. Spiked feelers called pedipalps grab and hold the prey, while claw-like mouthparts rip and tear at the flesh. And when under attack, the harvestman wields its own chemical weapon.
The way many harvestmen defend themselves is with stinky glandular secretions that can spray or ooze onto the predator.
When these chemical combatants collide, it's stealth and stickiness versus stench on stilts. In the Central American rainforest, a velvet worm hunts for prey. Close by, a long-legged harvestman is also prowling for food. Neither will back down. The velvet worm has slime guns and razor-sharp mouthparts. The harvestman boasts claw-like mandibles and a foul defensive spray. Which one will live to fight another day?
This contest is between two very different approaches to survival. Strong offense versus strong defense, heavy weapons versus heavy armor.
With the worm in its sights, the harvestman moves in for the kill.
I think the harvestman has lots and lots of advantages, but it's got to get in close.
But it's too close. The worm gives it both barrels at point-blank range. The harvestman struggles, but thrashing only tightens its slimy bonds. It's the glue from hell.
Now that's what I call chemical warfare. It may go everywhere. Half of it may miss the target, but wow. That is a prey capture technique that's impossible to upstage and very difficult to escape.
The harvestman is in serious trouble.
All it can do at this point is back off and see if it can groom the glue off. But it's nasty.
With its victim pinned and defenseless, the velvet worm switches to safecracker mode, looking for a way into its meal. Like hellish cookie cutters, the powerful mandibles start sawing through the harvestman's armor. Eventually, the worm injects its toxic saliva.
The saliva that the velvet worm is injecting contains mucus and also hydrolytic digestive enzymes that are pre-digesting the food outside of its body, so all it has to do now is sit back and suck it up.
Things don't always turn out the way you'd expect in the bug realm. You can have all the weapons in the world, but slow and sticky often wins the race. When a black jungle stalker and a black-faced Katydid go head-to-head, dark forces will be unleashed. The rainforest floor is choked with debris. It should be easy to hide in the shadows. But in the bug world, even the shadows can kill.
Stalkers give everyone the creeps, and the black jungle stalker is creepy enough to ruin any picnic. It prowls around, stops, and just watches from the shadows, absolutely motionless. The first thing its prey are likely to see is a face full of fangs.
Then again, the attack is so quick, so violent. The victim never knows what hit it. The secret to the spider's incredible athleticism lies in its long, tapered legs. They're hydraulically operated. A system of valves controls the flow of blood into each limb. When the valve fully opens, the sudden surge pumps the leg up, ready for takeoff.
This is a spider that can really hurl itself into the air when it goes for a strike. So it can even give low-flying insects a good reason to reconsider their altitude.
The black stalker's sleek body is covered with fine hairs. Some on its long limbs act as super-sensitive motion detectors that react to the slightest change in even a breath of air.
Those long sensory hairs on the spider's legs are so sensitive they can even detect when an insect flaps its wings.
The black jungle stalker isn't the only stealthy killer on the forest floor. A terrifying face looms out of the dark with its hideous tooth-like grin and homicidal stare. The black-faced Katydid is a stone-cold psychopath.
These katydids have black war paint on their faces. It camouflages them so they look less distinctively like a katydid and instead blend into the background more.
This mobile medieval torture chamber is always ready to rumble. No executioner's blade was ever sharp as the blackface's fierce mandibles. And its powerful legs and wings are not only superbly camouflaged, they get it out of trouble fast. But what happens when the psychopath and the stalker meet at close quarters? In the rainforest leaf litter, two warriors prepare to engage in mortal combat. The black jungle stalker is poised to strike. This killer has large fangs and paralyzing venom. The Katydid counters with saw-toothed limbs and razor-sharp mandibles. Which combination has the winning edge?
In this battle, it really comes down to whoever's fastest, whoever has the best angle, whoever has the speed at the last minute. maybe even who starts first, but we're down to it.
With its antennae probing, the blackface goes on the offensive. The jungle stalker doesn't demur. It reaches forward. The Katydid darts off to rethink its battle plan. It decides to attack again from the side. But with its hydraulic legs, this spider can move any which way. Huge fangs puncture the Katydid's protective armor. The black face bites and kicks, but the stalker's fangs are deep and trigger a ticking time bomb.
At this point, the clock is at 2 minutes to midnight. But the spider still has to be extremely careful of the Katydid's spiked legs and mandibles, because if it gets even the slightest chance to use them, it will, even as it draws its final breath.
Keeping the Katydid's limbs out of harm's way, the stalker maintains its steely grip. The kicks become feeble, and the maniacal grin becomes a death rictus.
This is an enormous kill for the black jungle stalker. It's the equivalent of a lion bringing down a zebra single-handedly. This is one mighty hunter.
The black jungle stalker feasts. When it's had its fill, the leftovers furnish a second banquet for the bugs of tomorrow. The bug world is locked in the dark ages. Life is nasty, brutal, and short. Death can strike at any moment. When an ambly pigeon clashes with a red forest scorpion, the holy grail is survival itself. The ambly pigeon is a rainforest Frankenstein. Part spider, part scorpion.
Ambler pigeons are closely related to spiders and vinegaroons. They've got 8 legs and 8 eyes.
It shuns the light, spending its days skulking in crevices or under rocks, emerging after dark to feed. Its armored body is built low to the ground. Lateral grade legs allow it to move in any direction. 2 of those limbs have been modified to act as whip-like antennae.
They're extremely sensitive to the movement of air or other vibrations in its vicinity. They're also very sensitive to odors, which is unusual for an arachnid.
With as many as 148 joints, these whip-like organs can circle its whole body, keeping a 360-degree lookout. And when it locates prey, it crushes them with multi-pronged pedipalps. Those pedipalps are like huge clubs lined with spikes. The ambly pigeon will need all its weaponry and heavy armor when it encounters the red forest scorpion. The red forest scorpion is a night stalker who enjoys the thrill of the chase. Scorpions are ultimate hunters. Long, slender pincers, lined with fine sensory hairs, hold prey in a vice-like grip. At the other end, its main strike weapon, a bulbous sting, dispenses fast-acting venom.
If you think cyanide is a powerful toxin, some scorpion venoms are actually over 100 times more potent. This kills their prey extremely fast, stone dead.
This one's hot on the trail of its next kill. Under its body, feathery organs called pectines have picked up a scent.
The scorpion is tapping its pectines on the ground about once every 30th of a second, sensing a chemical trail. The more often it detects the scent, the more accurately it can track the prey.
A large ground spider doesn't realize it's on the radar until it's too late. One sting, and the scorpion feasts. But when the angry pigeon comes by, the conquest might not be quite so easy. In the still of the night, an ambly pigeon prowls for fresh meat. Its long-range sensor warns something's coming. The red forest scorpion is also out hunting. Its super-sensitive pectines have picked up the whiff of live flesh. When these two knights of the dark realm go head-to-head, only one will survive. The ambly pigeon has crushing club-like claws and blinding speed. The red forest scorpion has a lethal stinger and super potent venom. Which one will emerge alive? The scorpion lies in wait below the ledge. But the ambly pigeon's super flexible whip has detected it. The scorpion advances. The ambly pigeon sidesteps, then attacks from below. The scorpion grabs a leg, while avoiding the ambly pigeon's stiletto-tipped claws. It angles its stinger for a kill shot.
If the ambly pigeon manages to catch a scorpion with those spiked pedipalps, it could crush the living daylights out of it. So it's important that the scorpion gets in a sting as quickly as possible.
The ambly pigeon locks on, attempting to crush its opponent into submission. But the scorpion's tail is free. The scorpion injects its cocktail of tissue-destroying venom. Before it takes effect, the ambly pigeon makes one last-ditch attempt to escape. But the red forest scorpion is not about to lose its grip on this meal. Breaking a leg in two, it begins to feed as the venom takes hold. The ambly pigeon flatlines. And in a final indignity, this ancient medieval fighter becomes a free-for-all buffet on the forest floor. Bug War. You defy death for your dinner.